Welcome to Thursday. It's the 10th of June, 2021. This Day Weather Podcast being brought to you by Chugwater Chili. It's the gourmet spice of Western life. The 35th annual Chugwater Chili Cook-Off is coming June 19th. There'll be chili tasting, a ranch rodeo, live music, vendors, and more. For ticket information and more information, go to chugwaterchiliCookoff.org. Well, folks, the weather is going to be one of increasing fire danger, windy, very dry conditions along and west of the Continental Divide. Some severe weather will hit some of the plains today. So there's a huge contrast between moist air on the plains and extremely dry air coming out of the deserts and the western slope. So it's going to be a pattern of hot, dry, windy conditions along and west of the Divide. This is going to make fire dangers very high today and tomorrow as well. Now we're going to continue with that heat along and west of the Divide. Also a reminder about our YouTube video on the North American monsoon, as we'll talk about that here in a minute. Remarkably similar weather pattern is coming up today that brought the heavy thunderstorms to southeastern Wyoming Tuesday evening. And that's an upper level disturbance, not a big one, but an upper level low kicking out of this low here. A piece of this big low here comes up and ejects northeast. Now this is exactly what happened Tuesday when we had that severe outbreak right here and right here. But what will happen is it's a little more north. So the severe outbreak is going to be more in this area here. But it's a pattern remarkably similar to what happened on Tuesday. Now this is for about noon Mountain Time today. By evening, the system gets a little bit closer and comes up into Montana, northern Wyoming, and the Dakotas. It's always in front of these lows where you get the weather, not just below them, but in front of them. And what you're going to see is an outbreak of heavy thunderstorms along the Montana, U.S.-Canadian border, then out here on the plains. Now, this is the precipitation forecast, not the thunderstorm forecast. We're probably going to see the thunderstorms form along and east of this line right here. So you're going to see thunderstorms and showers in this area here, even though the model's not showing rain. But this arch here shows you where the severe weather and the strong thunderstorms are going to develop. And if we were going to put a map out on the highest risk of severe weather, well, you can see this area of enhanced brown shading. Now that is a very high risk of severe weather. We're talking heavy winds, heavy rain, large hail, and yes, I think there is a real risk of tornado activity, especially in this area here today. Large hail and heavy rain and strong winds are going to be a possibility. If you're west of this green line, you're looking at dry conditions. Along this green line here, you might have some isolated showers and thunderstorms, but without a doubt, it's going to be this area here that is going to be the most undergone for the worst weather. Now, as you get into these white area here where it's dry, that's where humidities are rock bottom. And as that disturbance, this disturbance right here comes through, there is going to be a big change in air pressure from west of the Divide to east of the Divide. And that change in air pressure is going to move the wind. And that's going to cause a lot of wind later today and probably into Friday as well. Now, speaking of Friday, drier air gets a real big push. And we're going to see the thunderstorm threat go into the Midwest and the Corn Belt. So Friday is going to be a warm, windy, dry day across the region. Now let's talk about the wind. These are the forecasted highest wind gusts over the next 2 days. And you can see this swath of high wind cut across to the Dakotas, Montana, northwest Colorado, back into Nevada and Utah. Now, on top of these winds, you can see these gusts in the 50s, even some 60-mile-per-hour gusts. The air is extremely dry. So we're going to have high winds on top of dryness. This is not the day, the next 2 days, not the days to do any burning using anything that could start a fire, because already we've had some fire activity in parts of the Rockies over the last several days in the dry areas. And this will be a big concern over the next couple of days. When you superimpose these strong wind gusts on top of humidities today, look at that. These are relative humidities by the afternoon. Look at the single digits. When you're talking single digit relative humidities, you're looking at barely any water in the air. And so the strong winds going over this very low humidity will make it a tinderbox, and areas that have even gotten rain are going to lose a lot of soil moisture in this pattern. And then if you notice, we showed you this earlier in the week, that interface where the dry air meets the moisture is where you're going to get your severe weather. 10 days out, this is the 10-day precipitation forecast, and you can see we're starting maybe as we get into next week a little bit more in the way of thunderstorm activity down here around the Four Corners area. Not as much. The arch of better precipitation is north and east along the jet stream winds, as this big high that's now getting itself established is going to really lock up and keep that better moisture away. Now, this is out to 15 days. This is out to the 25th of June. We're going to keep watching this for you, but you see this right here? This is the modeling showing that monsoon, the North American monsoon, is starting to produce more in the way of thunderstorm activity in Mexico. So we're talking at the end of the June time frame, maybe into that early part of July. So we do see signs of that subtropical moisture coming, but you've got to look at the date. It's not until around that 25th time frame. But some of this moisture will arch in towards the Four Corners, maybe getting into western Colorado by the end of June or early July. So there's hope for precipitation for West Slope areas, but it's going to be a waiting game. Don't forget to learn more about the North American monsoon at the Day Weather YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to use the checkout code ChugwaterDon at chugwaterchili.com to get 20% off. Have a good Thursday, everybody. We'll see you on Friday.